Now, looking at these two, I have here 2x squared plus 5x equals 8. Now, this is an equation. Why do I say this is an equation? This contains an equality sign. So, this is classified as an equation. But over here, we have 2x squared plus 5x plus 8. Now, this doesn't have an equality sign, so we can't classify this as an equation. This is just an expression. So, an expression does not have an equality sign, while an equation has an equality sign. Another difference is that an equation is solvable. You can solve it. You can solve an equation. But when it comes to an expression, you don't solve an expression. The only thing you can do to an expression is either to simplify or factorize. Actually, they mean the same thing, because one way you simplify is by factorizing. So, simplify or factorize. So please take note of these differences. I said an equation contains an equality sign. An expression does not contain an equality sign. An equation is solvable. An expression is not solvable. You can only simplify or factorize. So now that we've gotten that, let's go straight down into the definition. You can pause the video to check. Alright, let's go straight down into the definition. It says a quadratic equation is one whose power of unknown is equal to 2. So what you need to take out of this definition is that we are dealing with a quadratic equation. So that tells us that we must have in itself a what? An equality sign. It must have an equality sign. So examples of such equations, we have this. You can have 3x squared minus 2x is equal to 20. Now these two, they are called the quadratic equation. Now, what makes an equation quadratic? Looking at the definition, it says a quadratic equation is one whose power of unknown. Unknown here simply is a variable. Alright? And a variable is represented by any letter. It can be A, B, C, whatever it is. So basically, whenever you see a letter, right, that letter stands for the unknown or the variable. Now, if the unknown carries a power of 2, or if the power of the unknown is equal to 2, then such equation is a quadratic equation. So what makes an equation quadratic is the power of 2. So looking at this now, the unknown here, the highest power of the unknown in this case here is x. Look at that. I can also have something like 5a squared minus 4a is equal to, in this case, a here is the unknown. So the highest power here of a is what? Is 2. So this is a quadratic equation. So what makes an equation quadratic is the power of the unknown. If the power of the unknown is equal to 2, it is quadratic. Not less than 2, not more than 2, equal to 2. Now we also have quadratic expressions. Now, this here is a quadratic equation, while this is a quadratic expression. Do you know why I said that? From what we looked at earlier, we said an equation contains an equality sign, while an expression does not have an equality sign. So this simply means this here is a quadratic equation, while this is a quadratic what? Expression. So in this case, what makes any expression quadratic is the power of the unknown, and it must be equal to 2. So that is basically what this is talking about. So very quickly, moving on to another section now, we'll see quadratic expressions, how to simplify them, how to factorize them, and then we'll later move on into quadratic equations, how to solve quadratic equations. So but before we go into quadratic equation, we'll look at quadratic expressions, how we can simplify and factorize them.